Mic check, yo. We still here? Still going strong, yeah? Are you down with Zuby? Yeah. I will not go pop, I will not go soft. When I say no means no. This is true hip-hop, I do not flip-flop. When I say flow mean flow. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. I will not go pop, I will not go soft. When I say no means no. This is true hip-hop, I do not flip-flop. When I say flow mean flow. This is perseverance. 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 I've been on the rhyme since I made a first appearance. I've been on the grind, never waited for the clearance. Life is all the time, so I'm gonna live it fearless. Yeah, and people gonna hear this. Made a little name with a vision and coherence. Never been a lame, now I'm closer to a genius. Knowledge in my brain, chalk it up to the experience. Still I'm not rich, but at least I ain't broke. Never sell dreams, cause I'd rather sell hope. People so lost in the mirrors and the smoke, think I'd be a realer bloke if I said I sold dope. Nope. But my fans will tell you that I'm awesome. I started selling and they bought them. I told them get them and I got them. So if you want dope bars, that's not a problem. It's time to put the needles on the wax. Rock hard like I got the Beatles in the back. Go soft, make it easy living off the map. Or I can go hard like a freaking cheetah on the track. I'm grinding from a zero to a stack. And I'm talking about De Niro getting jacked. If Wakanda needs a new king, I'ma go hard to be the leader of the pack. A needle in a stack, and I'm feeling to attack. Not a baller, no T'Challa, but a hero and I'm black. I'm an eagle to a rat, rebel demon on a track. I'm a scholar and a brawler, you don't feel it if you're whack. You're always talking evil in your rap, and I'm trying to put my meanings on the map. I gave you 12 rules for life and kept my room clean. I'm the Jordan Peterson of rap. Yeah. I will not go pop, I will not go soft. When I say no means no. This is true hip-hop, I do not flip-flop. When I say flow mean flow. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. I will not go pop, I will not go soft. When I say no means no. This is true hip-hop, I do not flip-flop. When I say flow mean flow. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. And I believe what I prophesize, so I don't apologize. Unless I do wrong, I don't bow to the mob, I don't live to antagonize. But they say I'm too outspoken. They wonder if I'm joking. Look, a little bit is jest, but I say what I feel, man, I'm real and I'm open. Trust in God, but I live in the physical. Selfish thoughts, but I give in the lyrical. Thought cops hot, want my speech to be criminal. Lies get fought when I speak the political. I am not left wing, I am not right wing. I just know all these things I know. Yeah, you cannot label me, you can't put shame on me. When I say go means go. Fresh, I step into the premises, kick dope rhymes and they love how I'm expressing it. Hop online and reply to all the messages. Gotta spend time and I'm grateful that you cherish it. Don't talk crap, no, I'd rather be irrelevant. Can't play dumb, people know that I'm intelligent. See me up late night, big beard, let 'em in. 12 years deep now, I'm flowing like a veteran. Dudes show love, now I'm moving up in eminence. Girls show love cause they're feeling all the pleasantness. Got huge dreams, I can never be a pessimist. Too much love, I can never be a feminist. Girl, stop looking all incredulous. I am not a bad man, I am not your nemesis. Always had a mega drive, take it back to Genesis. Worked so hard, time to reap a couple benefits. Yeah, I will not go pop, I will not go soft. When I say no means no. This is true hip-hop, I do not flip-flop. When I say flow mean flow. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. I will not go pop, I will not go soft. When I say no means no. This is true hip-hop, I do not flip-flop. When I say flow mean flow. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance.
Good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to the Vanguard for Spike How you doing, buddy? Good? Okay. Cohen, I am Matt Wright, and together we are traversing the muddied waters of freedom. Oh, I was going to say how you were a bisexual.
I was like
God,
as you were saying
what I was
it.
going to say.
I'm like, how did you forget bisexual northerner?
Yeah, wow. God.
Hey, everybody.
For Spike.
Do you want to just redo the entire show?
Roll it over again, yeah. We are traversing the muddy waters of freedom. Totally forgot where I was on that.
It's all right.
I got so mad at myself about forgetting the nickname I was going to give you. First and foremost, allow me to thank the fine people at Stateside Cavo for the cava that I drank on this and every episode of the Muddied Waters of Freedom.
And allow me to thank Nestle for this French water that I drink whenever I'm in Canada. Ulavanaka.
Ulavanaka.
It's funny because none of the Canadian stereotypes work here where I live. Our suburb of I'm the most Canadian person. Well, I guess my wife is the most Canadian person. Everyone else just got here. They're all like professionals from India and Bangladesh and China and Korea, and no one actually sounds Canadian in Toronto anymore, except for my wife.
Like, nobody sounds Southern in Florida.
Yes. So the same way that specific people have taken over Florida from the South. The Northerners of a certain type. The bisexual Northerners have taken over. That's the new like Nazi catchphrase for Jews is bisexual Northerners. You know, but the bisexual Northerners. Yeah, no, our bisexual Northerners are all from the Far East.
Mm. Not sure. Yeah. Not sure if that would qualify.
No idea.
So hats off to Spike for figuring out that I put in a fake news story this week. I didn't put in a fake news story. Sierra, who also gave me this delicious cava, put in a fake news story. And
good try though.
Good try.
Good try, everybody.
It was a good try. It just really wouldn't have made sense in that piece.
No, but if you could get me to read it, then it's like, oh, ha. But no, not this time.
Not this time. Not today, Sierra.
Not today. Maybe, probably next week. By next week, you can probably get me. But no, you can't add a dog story to the thing about the thing that we're going to talk about. Speaking of which. Speaking of, well, we're not there yet. But speaking of Trump, I've got nothing. So this episode is going to have our most common elements in them. Rape, which we are against. We are strong. Yeah,
we may as well just say this one right out the gate.
This one right off the gate. Let's just go ahead and nail down two things that we always hit every episode. Right. I am an anarchist, 10 minutes, 19 seconds. And we at Muddied Waters meet. What's that?
It was a 4-minute song.
It happened when it happened. And we here at Muddy Waters Media are strongly against rape.
Yes.
Which is why we talk about it as often as we do, because we're like really strongly against it. We do not like rape. Like, don't.
We just want to remind everybody on a regular basis that we're really against rape.
Yeah, don't bring rape. Don't bring rape around here. Okay, guys? So, speaking of rape, Trump. So, a writer by the name of John Carrol?
I think it's Gene.
The famous Jean or John Carrol that we all know and love from her hit blockbuster.
So she was like a I'm trying to think one of the advice columnists where you'd be like I'm trying to think of what that really famous advice column was.
Oh, like Dear Abby?
Yeah, she was like a Dear Abby.
Okay.
Yeah, so she was like a Dear Abby in New York back in the 90s. Feminist, Dear Abby, and she had a column called Ask Jean or Ask E Jean or something.
Okay.
And she wrote a new book that she is out there pushing and publishing. And the name of this book is Most Hideous Men of My Life List, which that's just wordy anyway, but it keeps going on. A list of the 21 most revolting scoundrels I have ever met.
That's also the forward.
Right, yeah. And the prologue.
And the prologue. Chapter 1.
Right.
Read the
it's
front.
pretty much the entire book. And in it, she recounts a tale of meeting Donald Trump outside of a New York building. And she's going on. She tells about how he's like, hey, you're Jean Carroll, from Ask Jean or whatever the name of her column is. Mm-hmm. And she's like, yeah, I am. You're Donald J. Trump. I don't know. She said the J.
They're just using each other's full name. Are you E. Jean Carroll? Why, yes, I am. Are you Donald J. Trump? I am indeed.
Here in the year of 1992.
Oh, yeah, our friend come back. I can't believe Donald J. Trump just raped E. Jean Carroll in 1992.
Right. And he said that he was going to be going out and looking for gifts for his wife, got her to come along to help him.
Okay.
And they somehow ended up at a lingerie store where they both ended up in a dressing room together, and that is where he forced himself upon her. Now, I want to point out, well, first of all, let's point out a few inaccuracies of this entire story. One, I think it was 1992. I know it was the 90s. So we can roughly say that this happened before my last 4 exes were born. And I'm wondering why she had waited, same thing. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean it didn't happen. Doesn't mean it didn't happen. I'm not saying that in any way, shape, or form. But you would think that maybe in 2016, when this man was running for president, you would have brought it to light.
One would think.
Not when he was going for re-election. Also, you've just met this man, Donald J. Trump. And from what I remember hearing, because I definitely wasn't old enough to know this, Donald J. Trump was not really all that well liked in the early 90s.
That's what I heard too from my great grandparents.
Right. It wasn't until he got The Apprentice that he started coming back as like, and he wasn't well liked then, but at least he was like a pop icon.
Right.
So before that, when he was, the real estate tycoon who declared bankruptcy 5 times or whatever it was, he was just kind of the what we all know Donald Trump to be today. He was this loud, obnoxious, condescending person who was out there thinking he knew better than everybody else. And so, all right, you just met this billionaire, even though at the time probably wasn't a billionaire, probably 100 millionaire, and you probably didn't like him anyway because of all of the things that I just said. And you say, yes, I'm going to go on this date or go help him pick out something for his wife.
And you're a feminist.
So you're
a feminist.
You go to a lingerie shop with him. And then you go into the dressing room, the fitting room, or whatever they call it. I've never been in one of those. But the fitting room that they have at like a Victoria's Secret or some higher end place, if there is a higher end place than Victoria's Secret. Again, never had to go to one. And you end up in the dressing room with him, and that is where this happened. And any time that I'm like, oh, okay, I should probably try on this pair of skinny jeans before I walk out in public with them. Yeah, I wear skinny jeans. And
we know. And vape.
And vape.
You vape in your skinny jeans.
Not in San Francisco anymore, apparently. But San Francisco banned vaping.
Really?
Yeah. So anytime I've been in there, say something was happening in one of the dressing rooms, everybody's gonna hear it.
Right.
So there's some holes in this story.
I'm really hung up. I didn't get that far, but you're correct. I'm hung up on, hi, Donald Trump. Let's go to a dressing room together.
Right.
Or even, hi, I'm Donald Trump. Say, want to go to a dressing room together? I don't understand. Yeah.
And in an interview, she admittedly said that she did not think that her accusation against the president of the United States about sexual assault or rape would have gotten the attention that it did.
Why?
That wasn't in the articles that I read.
But that's an open question to anyone who wants to. Why would you
not think that
Why
is
would you
what
not
was
think
going to happen? Because I feel as though that is exactly what you thought was going to happen, and that that's why you put it in the book, because you wanted to sell copies of your book.
Yeah, so again, we are against rape.
We are against rape.
We're against rape. Rape is bad, and if he did rape her, that was bad. And we're not saying we know for certain that she was not raped. There are layers to why this story has issues. This is a story that is really, really believable if you irrationally hate Donald Trump. Yes. Or rationally hate Donald Trump.
Either way.
But it's not a good story if you're thinking like with some discernment as to whether a story sounds right or not. So yeah, I wish her the best. Not really buying it. But I'll tell you something. Speaking of rape, Donald Trump continues to rape the border with Mexico.
Oh, you're not even going to do the Trump denial?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Where I put in parentheses, Spike a Trump voice.
So, oh God, my Trump is terrible. He said, it's so bad. He said, I'll say it with great respect. Number one, she's not my type. Number two, it never happened. Okay. See, my Donald Trump.
That's Michael Cohen.
That's what I'm. Yeah, I know. It's much better, Michael Cohen. Terrible Donald Trump. If I added a lisp, it would be a perfect Michael Cohen. Right. But yeah, he said she's not his type. No offense. Great respect. Not his type. And we don't have a picture. I kind of believe him.
Yeah, we don't have a picture. We probably should have gotten a picture. We're working on getting the overlays kind of settled in and figuring out how to use them properly. Now would have been a good time.
This would have been a great time for an overlay. We have other overlays. This was not one of them.
I believe that at the time he was married to Marla Maples.
Yeah.
And anybody who doesn't know who that is, from what I understand, back in the 90s, Marla Maples
was very attractive.
She was sort of like the Melania Trump of today.
Right. I'm not seeing it. It could be true. But again, how on earth could he have time to rape Jean Carrol in the 1990s when he's too busy raping the Mexican border? I'm sticking with that segue. So some new developments at the Mexican border. The Mexican government is deploying 15,000 troops to the border because apparently only Mexico can solve the border crisis. Only the government of Mexico has the power
to stop it. This is actually in response, allegedly. This is in response to the trade war that Donald Trump was going to start, that he ended up canceling when they came to some agreement. And allegedly part of that agreement was that they were going to be sending 8,000 troops to the border on the southern side of Mexico to keep people from just wandering into Mexico. And they didn't know how many troops were going to be sent to the northern border, if any, and they ended up sending 15,000 troops to the northern border. So that way the tariffs on avocados and Corona and tequila would not go up by 25 to 50 to 75%.
And the 50% of American goods that are made with at least one Mexican component in them. But yes, also the avocados and Corona, which are both sizable industries.
Very, very large.
So I know there's some dispute as to whether they had already agreed to do this, and right before it was to be implemented and announced, Trump did this, I'm going to tariff you, and then called it off to try to make it sound like he was being a tough guy. Regardless, this thing is happening, and so we'll see how that plays out. But so this is a quote from and it says right here that Matt's going to do his best Defense Minister Luis Crescencio Sandoval impersonation in giving this quote.
Amazingly, he sounds a lot like me. So, given that undocumented migration is not a crime, but rather an administrative violation, we simply detain them and turn them over to the authorities at Mexico's National Migration Institute.
Wow. That's uncanny how much the
Mexican
defense minister...
The only thing is he said that in Spanish. And
but with your exact accent and intonation.
So
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So Mexico has now done more for helping out illegal immigration in America than Congress ever.
Or Trump at this point. Honestly, or anyone at this point, because they again hold the special key to stopping people from crossing the magic line. So we'll see how that plays out. History shows us that the war on people is moving across the line is roughly as accomplishes about as much as it's roughly as successful as the war on drugs or the war on terrorism, in that it created more of those things. So we'll see how that plays out. But on the border, we have a bit of a kerfuffle. A kerfuffle. What did you say?
Kerfuffle.
Did you say kerfuffle?
I said kerfuffle.
Oh, wow. So we had a bit of a kerfuffle. And as to whether or not the camps, if you will, on the border are concentration camps or not. So Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, brought to you by personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, she said the United States is running concentration camps on our southern border, and that is exactly what they are. They are concentration camps, and if that doesn't bother you, she said, and then she threw up her hands. If that doesn't bother you...
Yep. She kind of did the emoji where I'm trying to get enough in frame here to do the emoji where does the just the I don't know emoji, comparing the camps to concentration camps. Now, immediately, Spike's leaders,
the leaders of Spike,
World War II and Holocaust survivors, and the federally funded Holocaust Museum all denounced her remarks.
Right.
Saying that they were vacant and forgetting what most people would like to call history.
Right. But she did have a defender.
He did have a defender.
Jacob LaBelle in the comments says Iran raped me too. We'll talk about that later. We're going to get into Iran raping Jacob very shortly, I promise you. But one of my favorite people in Congress, Ilhan Omar, my Muslim Sade, had this to weigh in about the kerfuffle.
There are camps and people are being concentrated. This is very simple. I don't even know why this is a controversial thing for her to say.
She is beautiful. I don't know what to tell you.
A camp where people are concentrated, where there's a concentration of people in an encampment, is all that it takes to be qualified to call something a concentration camp.
I'm just watching her again. You tell him, hon. What are we talking about?
We're talking concentration camps.
Oh, that's terrible. Where's that? So, okay. I am, as the notes say, a bit Jewy. I'm not necessarily a Jew, but I am Jewish. So, for those who don't know, I am against federal border controls. I think that the first 100 years of the U.S. had open borders to migration, unlimited and unrestricted migration, and as long as there's not a welfare state, that's fine. And that means we should get rid of the welfare state, not just for the tens of thousands of illegals or tens of thousands of immigrants that come to the country every year, but also for the millions of Americans that are born every year, and most of them end up on welfare. We should end it for them as well. While I'm talking, I'm just gotta.
There are camps.
Well, no, I don't need to hear you.
There are camps.
No, I just wanna. There we go. So, hun, the problem here is that. Okay, so can you find a dictionary strict definition of concentration camp that would meet the criteria of what is being done at the border? Maybe, yeah, maybe. We are often told by people on the left that you can't simply use literal definitions of things. You have to wait. You have to see the historical implication about such things. Like, that's why they say it's insensitive to say that all lives matter, because you're not looking at the context of why people are saying Black Lives Matter. And or you can't have a straight pride parade because you're not understanding the context behind why there's even a gay pride parade in the first place. Okay, concentration camps elicit a specific thought in most people, and it isn't a admittedly inhumane and draconian way of dealing with immigration. Concentration camps, when people talk about them, are referring to a period in history where over 10 million people, because we talk about the 6 million Jews, the 6 gorillion, but there were millions of other non-Jews as well who were rounded up and systematically liquidated like they were like lab rats or something. Like they didn't need them anymore. They used them for work and then they killed them. These people are not being forced to labor. They can actually leave at any time. If I understand correctly, they can say, oh, okay, no, we don't want to be in the U.S. and they can leave. Again, I don't agree with this. I'm not defending this practice. And it's sad that we're even having that there's a policy in place with the government that's so rough and draconian in nature that there's even any mild resemblance to concentration camps. But it's not a concentration camp, at least not in that sense. And to talk about a real issue and try to make it seem like it's the same or adjacent to a genocide is not. It's not a good look. This is a good look. This looks good. It's when you turn the volume on, it looks less good. It still looks good. It's just not a good look.
Right.
So that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah.
Matt, as a friend of one Jew at least, what do you think?
So personally, I think that there's been a long history of people making reference to pretty much anything having to do with the Nazis. And it kind of, you have probably been called a white supremacist at some point.
Today.
I have been called a white supremacist. I have been called a Nazi. I've been called a Nazi sympathizer.
Right. Even though you are one of the few people I know who actually penned an article condemning Nazism within the Libertarian Party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did.
Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. And I personally feel as though, and I hate using that as the basis of any argument, but when you do this, so when you compare so many things to Hitler or to the Nazis or to concentration camps,
Right.
you literally dumb down the importance of the things you are comparing these things to.
Right. Right.
If anybody you disagree with is a Nazi or is literally Hitler, that means that if you're comparing you or me to Hitler, like that just makes Hitler just seem like he's an idiot. Like
Right. Hitler's a guy with
almost global domination.
Right.
Not that he was a psychopathic megalomaniac that wanted to wipe out every Jew on the face of the planet. No, let's forget about that. But these guys who want you to be able to say whatever you want without fear of going to jail,
right,
they're just like him.
Exactly. It is, saying that people should be free to do as they wish, harming no one else, is really exactly the same as saying that the Aryan race is superior and all other mongrel races should be liquidated. It's basically the exact same thing.
You can take the exact same argument or the exact same mind frame, and say, okay, so the concentration camps, where they gassed people, where they burned them to ashes, where they starved them to death, where they did scientific research on them to find out stuff, where if you were gay, you didn't actually get out when the war ended. You still had to stay back because they weren't done with you yet.
Right, of course.
There were still some more tests that needed to be run. And when you take that point of history and you compare it to what is going on at the southern border, and what is going on, like, I don't agree with what's going on at the southern border.
Right.
That is not what that is. It is not like that. No,
it's not. It's not. And I mean, I was just reading about, they're arguing, the government is arguing in front of the was arguing in front of the Ninth Circuit Court that, they don't have to give, toothpaste and toothbrushes and soap to these kids, or, like turn the lights off at night, so that they can sleep and stuff like that. I mean, it's bad conditions. And this is the problem. So we should be able to right now be talking about the fact that these are bad conditions. Like, these are bad conditions that no one should have to go through unless they've actually hurt someone, and that kids shouldn't have to go through this. But when you start off by going, this is the concentration camps and this is like Hitler, this is now what happens, is you have to actually provide some context of saying, no, this isn't millions or even hundreds of people being wiped out. I think 6 people have died or something, which is, again, terrible. Oh. It is like 6 orders of magnitude less than the Holocaust. That's 7 or 8 orders of magnitude less. That is many. For those who don't know, that is a lot of orders of magnitude. I hope that doesn't sound like a lot of orders, but it is. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
So anyway, it's not good that they're doing that. It dumbs down the argument, like Matt said. It dumbs down. So now, when people hear about the Holocaust, they're like, "Oh, you mean that thing that's sort of like what's going on now?" No,
nothing like that. It is nothing like that.
No.
Oh, the guy that started the Holocaust with the weird little mustache and had Hugo Boss that made all of his clothing line, and they were actually kind of cool looking uniforms. Doesn't mean I'm a Nazi for thinking it. They were cool looking uniforms.
And they drank Fanta, which is...
And they did drink Fanta.
Which is like, what happened?
Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah, he's like the most evil person who's ever been alive. Yeah, he's exactly like those 2 idiots that get together every week and make fun of literally everything that they have on their show.
Right. Or he's exactly like a president who is essentially like every other president before him and has all sorts of problems, but has definitely not killed millions of people. And that's, or tried to drive the entire earth into a giant hot war where something like 50 million people died or something like that. So I mean, these are not good arguments. These are not good arguments, and it's really sad because this is just, it's just sad.
And the worst part about it is, if the right is accurate in their belief system about Ilhan Omar, she would like to see you dead, and all you want to do is have her listen to some Sade.
I just want, this is the sweetest taboo right here, like literally. This, for many reasons, she doesn't want me dead. So I don't want this to become about.
I said if the right was accurate.
Yeah.
I qualified it. I don't.
Okay, no, that's good, because the way they talk about her is roughly about the same as the left talks about Trump. Like they're pretty unhinged about her in general. She's definitely a Muslim. She's definitely not in favor of Israel. She's definitely a left winger, but they have tried to paint her as something other than this. Look at that.
But they paint her as the one who married her brother and was in a different relationship the entire time, and that she hates all of Spike's people and wants to see Israel wiped off the map.
Right. Which is,
and
the brother thing might be true.
I was going
to say that the brother thing might be true, but I mean, she wouldn't actually like marry to her brother. It was to try to get him immigrated, which is lying to the government, and that makes me love her even more.
Because he's an anarchist.
I'm an anarchist. 38 minutes, 31 seconds. I minus the 4 minutes for the song. So, speaking of things I love, let's talk about Anchor FM. Hey guys, are you looking to make a podcast? Well, I hope you are, because if you are, you should check out Anchor. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast.
Anchor gives you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer.
For free? Well, but they couldn't possibly have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great.
In fact, they do. And not only that, but they will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere. This includes like Spotify, Apple Music, or Apple Podcast, rather, not Apple Music. I don't know. Maybe Apple Music. I don't know what kind of podcast you're doing. Who knows? Google Podcast, Radio Public, and many more.
Well, I'll tell you what, the only thing that could make me sign on right now is if you can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership.
You know, and you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership.
Well, that settles it.
You know, all you need to do is download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today.
Well, that settles it, guys. I'm going to have already been used Anchor for like 2 months now. Based on what I just heard. Speaking of Anchor FM, there's a really cool feature, guys, and I had to download it. There's a very cool feature, there they are, where
you can donate money to your favorite podcast. So I don't know how many of you know Spike or myself personally. To make money, and this is not an exaggeration, I take a ladle and I ladle mud into tiny bowls for people. That is my job. That is what I do to make money. Sometimes if somebody's like me, they get them in full large cups like this one. And it looks actually, it looks exactly like this.
It looks a lot like that.
Yeah, it looks exactly
suspiciously like that, actually. Yeah.
That is my job. That is what I do. This right here, this is hours and hours of work that Spike and I and Jason, that we all put into putting out this high quality content that you guys have grown to know and love.
The highest quality.
The highest quality. You know, out of all of the basement room podcasts that you see on Facebook and YouTube and Periscope, I'm willing to bet we're in the top 5 on production levels.
This basement room, if nothing else, is in the top 5.
That's true. Just from the very small part of it that I've seen.
That's Cherry.
Is that
so?
Like 90s hip hop lingo of that's Cherry, dog?
No, that's like cherry wood.
Oh,
there.
Okay.
But it's also cherry, dog. So yes, you can donate money on Anchor FM. Please do that. Anchor.fm/Muddy Waters. But you can also do this really cool thing where you can leave us voice messages. And our good friend Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, does that often. He left 2 messages for us just today.
So let's take them one at a time. Have you listened to either of these?
I have not listened to either of these.
Oh, good.
I downloaded them while we were talking.
Excellent. Well, I prepped, so that's good.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to play in no particular... Is there an order they need to be in? Because I don't know that either.
No.
Okay. All right, here's the first one.
Personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds here with your beloved AOC Millennial Minute. I wanted to see if the guys might discuss a little bit about good old Joe Biden and not only his viability as a candidate, but also some of the recent troubles that he has gotten himself into, especially with some of the things that he's said about, using the word boy and some other things that have been taken as racially insensitive, I guess. And see if you guys had any thoughts about that or anything related to that. So go for it, guys. Thank you.
So
personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds, everybody.
Yeah. So what personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds is referring to is Joe Biden has come under a little bit of heat recently for some comments that he made, which anybody who has watched Joe Biden speak before understands that this is not a new thing for Joe Biden. Joe Biden enjoys saying things that make him look like a moron.
That's very true. He's yes.
So he was, and I'm actually, this one I don't really see that big of an issue with what he said in this case.
Okay.
Like, I agree with it, but I don't really see, he wasn't being racist when he said it.
What did he say?
So he was talking about how now everything is so divided, you can't even reach across the aisle to try to work on legislation. And then he talked about when he was in the Senate years and years and years ago, and he was working with Southern segregationists on different legislation, not having to do with segregation.
Right.
He said, God, I wish I had written that guy's name down. But he was working with a Southern Republican, not Strom Thurmond. I know everybody's thinking him, but it wasn't him. And the guy referred to Ted Kennedy as boy, and he referred to Ted Kennedy as boy. He was like, "You don't talk to me, boy," and he would only refer to Joe Biden as kid. And that is what he said, that everybody kind of got up in arms, because the term boy colloquially has kind of become, it hasn't kind of become, it's not like this is a recent thing, but it's historically a racist term that people called black folks in the South. And so people were kind of up in arms about the use that he said that, he called Ted Kennedy boy.
Okay.
If this is the biggest gaffe that Joe Biden makes for the next 18 months, that's a good streak for Joe Biden. That's probably the best streak Joe Biden's ever going to get.
Yeah, for Joe Biden, this is like Mickey Mouse stuff.
This is a guy who was, when he was in Delaware, when he was a senator in Delaware, said that all of the 7-Elevens were owned by people who looked and talked like Apu from The Simpsons.
Not very intersectionalist. So here's he was talking about Herman Talmadge, who I guess was a pro-segregation senator, and he said, one of the meanest guys I ever knew, Herman Talmadge. Well, guess what? At least there was some civility. We got things done. We got it finished. Now, of course, by getting things done, he's referring to the many crime bills he signed that have resulted in the U.S. holding more black people captive than during the height of slavery. But they did get it done. They got it finished.
No, it wasn't Herman Talmadge. It was James Eastland.
Oh, because I was in a caucus with James O. Eastland. He never called me boy. He always called me son. But so he didn't call a black person boy.
No,
he just used the term
Ted
boy.
Kennedy boy.
Ah.
He called Ted Kennedy boy. Which, that's why I'm like, but I understand of the racial connotation that word
Right,
has.
but people still, right, but, okay, yes, but people still say boy, like, oh boy, I'm so happy. Boy, like, but I mean, and he's white, like, Ted Kennedy's white, like, we can't call white people boy now? Like, what are we doing? Is this what we're doing?
I mean, the goalpost moves all the time. I don't really know what I'm allowed to say, but that, like, on this show, every time I'm like, I wonder if that's allowed still. And luckily, I haven't been hit yet.
And so, it probably hasn't. It probably isn't allowed. Yeah.
Yeah. So in this case, I don't think really Joe Biden did anything. I think that he is floundering. I think that he is falling in the polls because everybody realizes he's not good at campaigning.
Right.
He is going to get demolished at the debates because he is an awful, awful debater. And I mean, he touches little kids. He's going to get... I know that both of us kind of picked him early on, but the longer that... The more mistakes he makes and the quicker that he is falling makes me think he has zero shot, while Warren is surging.
Which is hilarious. That Pocahontas is surging. Listen, so I'm not prepared to back off of my prediction that Biden's going to end up being the nominee to lose to Trump until the debate. Like, I want to see how he does in the debate, and we'll be talking about that shortly. But the debate went Thursday night. Based on how he does there, if he really just crumbles there, if he has like a what was that guy's name? The governor. If he has Rick Perry moments during that debate, I will say, okay, this is not going to happen. If he does okay and kind of, doesn't completely screw up and does his, Uncle Joe colloquialism stuff, I could maybe see him pulling it off. I still personally think he's my most likely to win just because we follow this stuff, but most voters don't, which is why so many people were shocked. Bernie Sanders was surging, and then like Hillary would, win, would like won South Carolina and stuff like that. Like people were like, well, how? Because we all know that, he was doing so great. Most voters don't pay attention. They'll catch some stuff on the news, if that, and they go on name recognition. Donald Trump won the Republican primary with all the stuff that was going on during that primary. He won because most people weren't really all that tuned in, and they heard that Donald Trump was running, and they know he's rich, and they're Republican voters, and they thought, well, maybe the rich guy will do something. That literally was why he got the nomination. All that other stuff ended up not even mattering. So I still think he's going to get it, but I could be completely wrong. So here is the second question from Personal Injury. Well, I'm sorry, go ahead. Were you going to add to that?
No, I know this question, so I hope you're semi-prepared.
I am not even mildly prepared. It takes a second for it to come up.
That's what I tell all my dates.
Personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds here with your weekly AOC Millennial Minute, I think is what I've decided the name should be for now anyways. I was hoping that you guys might discuss impeachment and not necessarily Trump or anything like that, but just impeachment in general, your thoughts. I've seen a lot of polls recently where the majority of Americans don't know what that word even means or what it would entail. So if you get a chance to just kind of discuss impeachment and what that would mean, I think that would be educational for everybody, and I would love to kind of hear your thoughts on what you think about its applicability to the current situation. Thank you.
Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, everybody. So, Matt, you semi-prepared for this. What do you think about that?
Okay, so he is right. Most people don't understand what impeachment is.
Right.
What impeachment is when the House of Representatives votes in order to press charges on a president. That is the easiest way to put that.
Right.
They'll say pretty much all of them have to do with obstruction of justice in some way. Nixon resigned before his impeachment proceedings took off. Clinton, as everybody knows, was impeached. And now we have this case in which they're saying there was obstruction, or unless you're Donald Trump, you're going, no obstruction, no collusion. So they're going to go through the hearings and the trials that they're going through right now.
Right.
Once they get through with that and they decide to impeach or not, they will draw up the articles of impeachment. Then they will give them to the floor of the House, and the House will vote on it. If a majority of representatives in the House of Representatives vote for impeachment, he will be impeached. But that doesn't mean he's getting kicked out of office. Instead, that means
the House or the Senate?
The House. And then the Senate, then he has to go to trial in the Senate.
Right. Okay. I'm sorry. I was ahead of you. Go ahead.
Right. And then he has to go to trial in the Senate after the House votes to impeach.
Mm-hmm.
Once the House votes to impeach, it goes to the Senate. The Senate will put him up for trial. And you need I believe it's a super majority.
It's 2/3. Yeah.
Right. You need 2/3 majority in order to convict a president in the Senate. Now, now the Republicans have the majority in the Senate, and they will until 2020.
Right.
I mean, there's no change in that. There's zero changing that. There's no way that is going to go away. So that being said, if the House votes to impeach, it will go to the Senate. It won't go anywhere. And that will be, if they decide to do this, that will be the rallying cry of both bases.
Right, exactly. And the thing is, it's not going to happen. And here's the thing. You're going to, short of having 2/3, the Democrats win a 2/3 majority, which I believe would be the largest electoral swing in Senate history. They'd have to win, I think, all of the seats that are up for replacement this next election cycle. Short of that happening, he's not getting impeached because Republicans aren't going to sign on to an impeachment trial unless he does something way more heinous than anything he's even been accused of. Right. So, other than being literally Hitler, if it turned out that he was actually literally Hitler, then that possibly could result in impeachment. Even then, I'm not sure. So I don't see it happening.
With the Republican, he might get impeached, but with a Republican Senate, he wouldn't get convicted.
Right. Yeah, he could very well be impeached. He's just not going to actually be convicted and removed. No president has ever been convicted and removed. 2 have actually gone to trial, if I'm correct. 2 of them.
2 have gone to trial.
And they were both impeached. The only one that could have probably actually been convicted was Richard Nixon, and he resigned before any of that could happen.
Right.
But it's not gonna happen. Like, it's not gonna happen.
It's not going to happen. And everybody thinks that impeachment is this magical wand that's going to get Donald Trump out of office. But what it's really going to do is you are going to ignite the rights base.
Oh yeah.
I just realized that you're wearing red and I'm wearing blue. You're on the right and I'm on the left.
Ha! And I'm in Canada. This is the national colors. Jew wearing red, huh?
So it's going to ignite the base of Trump if he gets impeached. And everybody that is a Trumpian, MAGA hat wearing, don't burn my flag, we need to go bomb Iran, is going to be coming out of the is going to be coming out of the woodwork to be like, no, we need to protect our president because the libtards are all coming after our president.
Our president, right.
He didn't do nothing wrong. And when the Senate doesn't convict him, you're going to be having every skinny jean vaping, ironic mustache wearing, hanging out in coffee shops, beret sporting, out of season scarf wearing, facial piercing, tattoos everywhere hipster saying that
vaping and skinny jeans.
Yeah. Tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it. I know who I described. I got it.
You're going to have them out in the streets saying, I am Matt Wright.
They're going to be out there arguing that the Senate only protected this guy because all Republicans are racist, and we need to make sure that we get, they're sexist, they're racist, they're whatever, and we need to make sure that we get Kamala Harris or Elizabeth Warren or, well, they won't go for Tulsi Gabbard, but you get the idea.
Oh, yeah.
That we need to get somebody like that in the Oval Office, and that is how they're going to rally the base.
Pretty much. And, the idea that Donald Trump is going to be impeached is the unique belief among some on the left that someone who personifies Hitler is going to be stopped by investigating him. Because that's how that works with genocidal dictators. It's just a very weird, it was like with the Mueller report. It's like, yeah, we're going to stop a dictator by calling the police. That'll fix it. And it's a very odd juxtaposition of beliefs there. So no, that's not happening. Thank you for the questions, Chris. We have a question from a commenter from Aaron D'Antoni. He says, elementary question, but as far as these turds that are running for president, is this what we have to look forward to? Harris, Booker, and I think that's Buttigieg are just practicing for 2038. I think they think they're gonna win it, but
so I would say that young Pete Buttigieg. I think young Pete Buttigieg he's practicing. He's looking forward to probably not 2038, but he's probably looking forward to 2024, 2028, somewhere in there. Because I think that he's like 40.
And that's weird because historically, at least in modern American politics, once you've run for president and lost, you're screwed.
That's only if you lose in the general, not in the primary.
Oh, that's a good point, yeah.
So I think that people join up to run in the primaries to try to kind of get the idea of what it would be like, build their base, get the name recognition, and that way they can go out later and already have support behind them.
Yeah, but if you think again, in the last couple generations, the only guy who has lost, and he actually lost the general, and then came back and won won an election. The second was Nixon, and that was because of a series of very odd things that happened, that like assassinations and things like that. Before him, I don't think Truman was ever in the.
So you had
Eisenhower.
So if you go more recent, you've got George Bush Sr. He lost to Reagan in 1980.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
He lost to Reagan in 1980. He ran again. Mitt Romney ran in 2008. He lost. He ran again in 2012, won the primary, obviously lost the general.
Right. He didn't become president though, yeah.
Right. He didn't become president, but he made it to the next logical step in that you're kind of going for. So I think that people use it as a way to get their name out there in order to build their base. And then depending on what they do in the 4 years in between them running in the primary and then them hopefully winning the primary and running in the general, that's when they're going to start doing the speaking engagements. And that's when they're going to like really amp up their public appearances and all that. So that way they can continue to get the support behind them so they can run again later.
Okay, well, fair enough. So then that's what they're looking to do. Again, I think everyone that's thinking this is going to be something, where Trump gets taken down. He might lose. Trump might lose. I don't think he's going to. He might lose, but I
would
don't.
not bet against it. Wait, I would not bet on him losing.
I wouldn't bet big money on him losing, and it's definitely not going to be the blowout people think it is. I think a lot of people who were, devastated in 2016 are going to be even more devastated in 2020. That's my personal opinion. So speaking of devastating things of little consequence to most, in Iran,
Except for those Japanese sailors who were
except for those
on that ship.
well, yeah, but they said they didn't think it was the Iranians, but following the a recent attack on an oil tanker in the Gulf of Oman, which is we talk about this stuff. This would be like if we were talking about the Gulf of Mexico. It is right next to Iran. An unmanned drone, U.S. drone, was shot down over the water, which was either 5 miles out of Iranian airspace, in international waters, or Iran claims that it was 4 miles inside of Iranian airspace. So it was within 10 miles, give or take, one way or the other, of Iran.
And depending on which military intelligence, oxymoron, which military intelligence you listen to, because I listened to them both before the show.
Yeah,
I wanted to hear both sides of this. The U.S. military says that it came across. Man, I wish I was better at bodies of water up there. Came across down the Gulf of Oman, stayed in international water, turned around, went back up 5 miles out. The Iranian military says that as it was coming up the Gulf of Oman back north, it swerved into Iranian airspace and started heading toward the coast.
Right.
And that's when they shot it down.
Yeah. So, and I just would like everyone for a moment to picture if the, let's say, Chinese Navy had ships all in the Gulf of Mexico, were constantly talking unironically about invading us, and also was flying drones either right up at the perimeter of U.S. territorial waters, which is, we're talking 4 miles off the coast. If you look at that on a map, it's like a tiny line just outside of the actual land. Flying military drones just right at that, and possibly even crossing over into, U.S. territory. Just picture, we talk about this stuff because it's thousands of miles away, and we're so used to the idea of the U.S. military just trouncing and traipsing over other countries. Just for a moment, picture that being done on this side, and what your reaction would be, and how you would expect the government to react in that kind of a situation. So this was what's that?
If you think about it, the Cuban Missile Crisis was Russia was setting up missiles.
Yep.
Another foreign soil.
Yep.
Was 190 miles off the coast of Florida?
Not 90 miles from like Key West, but
90 miles.
Yeah.
I live in Florida. I've never been down there. I'm like 4 hours away. Never gone. I've never hit mile marker 0.
Really?
But I've never been there.
I've even done that.
Yeah, well, you've been further south in America than me. But we're talking about 90 miles away, and that caused one of the greatest international incidences that didn't end in war ever.
Yep. And it was square on foreign soil. Like, it wasn't like they were putting them in boats right near the U.S. Right? It was a foreign country receiving arms from another foreign country. Caused the close. Most people say the closest that the world has ever been to true nuclear war. Although supposedly there was a ship that had a screw up with their communications, and they should have launched an attack, but
they should have launched the attack, and
the captain of the Russian ship said, "No, I'd rather not kill all these Americans. Let's just keep waiting. And it ended up, well, anyway. So
Right.
very, very close to nuclear war over arms being sent from a foreign country to a foreign country that's relatively close to the U.S. This is U.S. drones just strafing the territory of Iran, while simultaneously constantly threatening to invade and talking about bombing them and talking about invading them. And also there are U.S. military bases all around Iran. Like, I mean, it's, just imagine that the mindset you'd be in if that were the situation in reverse. So this is a $123 million robot being shot down. It has brought calls from Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and Chief Warmonger John Bolton and Chief Tiny Zionist Neocon Ben Shapiro, they're all calling to go to war with Iran.
Yeah, and Ben Shapiro, because as we know, Donald Trump said, and what? Okay, so this part kind of blows my mind. So we're gonna have to go into this a little bit. Okay, fine. But the $123 million robot being shot down has brought calls from Spike Cohen, Matt Wright, and Jason Lyon, the Ben Shapiro of Muddy Waters, to not spend so much money on robots that can be shot down.
Yeah. I also like that Jason is the Ben Shapiro of Muddy Waters, and
he doesn't like baseball. He gets all the negative things right now.
I'm fine with that.
But yeah, so apparently America was on its way to attack Iran, and then at the last minute, Trump calls it off, and he's like, "No, we're not going to attack them. It wouldn't be proportionate. It wouldn't be proportionate to attack them for shooting down our flying robot." And everybody's like, "Look at the leniency from Trump. Oh, look at the leniency from Trump. He didn't attack."
Yay.
But he ordered the attack. And everybody's like, "Oh, no, that was because of other people in his cabinet." No, that wasn't other people in his cabinet. He ordered the attack. Nobody else can do that. Only Trump can do that. Trump ordered the attack on Iran for a robot being shot down. And then he was like, "Okay, well, maybe this isn't the greatest idea. I only have the best ideas, and this isn't the best idea." Right. So he pulled back, and now he's kind of like reverse course. And I am not opposed to kind of what he is saying now.
Right.
But there's some new sanctions, and normally I'm not a huge fan of sanctions, but because I think it just kind of hurts the people, and the people in charge still end up getting whatever it is they want. Anyway.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it just hurts like the normal people.
Right. It would hurt probably the people watching this show. It wouldn't hurt Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he said that for the sanctions, one of the things that they're going to do is the U.S. military may take a step back from protecting the Strait of Hormuz for shipping charters, which we have apparently been doing for free for quite some time now, most of which are oil tankers going to China and Japan. And according to El Presidente Donald J. Trump, I don't know how to put that in Spanish, the Chinese get 91% of its oil from the strait, and Japan gets 62% of its oil from that strait.
So for those to try to explain, because we hear a lot about the Strait of Hormuz, if you look on a map of the Middle East, this would be another great overlay to have. I have to do this in reverse because of so if this is Iran, and this is the tip of the Arabian Peninsula, I'm doing this wrong. This is the tip of Arabian Peninsula, and then this going out this way is the Indian Ocean. So that's how you would get to China and how you would get
totally backwards.
Yeah, no, I know. It's the mirror thing is completely screwing me up. But basically, in order to get from Saudi Arabia, the oil from Saudi Arabia and other parts of the Arabian Peninsula through to the rest of the world, you have to go through the Strait of Hormuz, and Iran is right there. It's very, very narrow, and so there's been a lot of that's like there's always I think always like a Navy detachment there, and it's to protect the oil there. So Trump saying he's going to back off. Honestly, I hope he does back off, because Iran has no real interest in upsetting oil supplies. Here's the thing, and Matt may disagree with me on this. I am of the belief that arms in general, this includes guns, whatever, the more people have guns, the more peaceful things are. Because now you don't just have one person or one group of people with the guns. It's been decentralized. Now everyone has to act like they have some sense. When a country acquires nuclear weapons, what happens afterwards is people stop bombing them because they have nuclear weapons. The only time that nuclear weapons have ever been used in anger was when only one country had them, which meant they could use them with impunity. The U.S. dropped 2 nukes on Japan. They were much weaker than current hydrothermal nuclear weapons, but whatever. They dropped 2 atomic bombs in Japan because they could, and who was going to stop them? And what were they going to do? Use regular bomb? The very second that Russia, a genocidal communist dictatorship, the very second they had nukes, and then later China, nukes were never used on actual populations again. There were a bunch of nuclear tests for everyone to thump their chests on how powerful their nuclear arsenal was, but there were no more. What do you want to bet if it had continued that the U.S. was the only country with nukes, that they would have just continued to use them, because what the hell was anyone going to do about it? So in my mind, more countries or even organizations or individuals having nuclear weapons means fewer people and places that larger countries can bomb with impunity. So in my mind, I'm the same way with nukes. Legalized recreational plutonium. I am the same way with nukes that I am with, pistols or assault weapons or fully automatic weapons, grenade launchers, whatever. If you can afford it and you can afford the consequences of it, then by all means get it. And the added benefit of more and more people and organizations having nuclear weapons is that they lose their power in terms of who you're going to use them against. And if, in theory, every person had a nuke, which obviously this isn't going to happen, everyone would be really, really gentle around each other because, hey, this guy could nuke me and everyone else. So
yeah, it's the mutually assured destruction theory.
It's mutually assured destruction on a micro scale. Mutually assured destruction for everybody.
For everybody. Yeah, I tend to agree. Like when they're saying, "Oh, Iran can't have nukes," or Turkey shouldn't have nukes, which they do, or Jeff, or whoever Jeff is,
or Israel, who does,
right? Have you seen that graph where they're like, "Where are all the nukes?" And it's like America's like 90% of them,
yeah,
and then
the vast majority of nukes, yeah,
and then Jeff. Have you seen this?
I believe I've seen the Jeff meme. Jeff has one nuke.
So I actually looked it up, and Jeff is an actual thing where they do testing of nuclear. Like it's an acronym for something, and I don't remember.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like,
it's just funny because it's like, who is Jeff?
Why are we not worried about Jeff? What do we know about Jeff? Is this Jeff Bezos? Like what? Which
right.
Jeff is it?
Bezos?
I've met some Jeffs that were jerks. Who are we talking about here?
Right. I just want to make sure it's not any Jeff I know. Because if he has one, I definitely want one.
And definitely not Jeff Geoff, because then.
Oh God, yeah, no, definitely not that guy.
No.
If it's a Geoff,
if it's a Geoff, we say knee
about being
off.
made fun of a lot.
Yes. He's gonna knee-ock us.
But yeah, I agree. The more people that have nukes, if they can afford them and they can afford the responsibility of having it as well, like if you're going to use a nuke on somebody, there's a good chance somebody else is using a nuke on you.
Right.
Like that's just the way it is. It's the same thing, with any firearm. If you have a firearm, if you use it on somebody, odds are somebody else is using theirs on you. That's just how it is. That's the responsibility of owning any firearm, whether it's a handgun or a semi-auto or a machine gun or whatever, or a nuke. So yeah, I would definitely tend to agree on that one. You have a weird look on your face.
I'm reading. We have a comment on YouTube from Jerion Siebert. He says, "Hello, I come from." Oh, you said hey. He said, "I come from Germany. Our news so scary here. We wait of war. What you mean? Have we the begin of war?" I'm not 100% sure what that means.
Okay, I think he's asking if I think what he is asking there, and Jerion, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Let us know if we are incorrect here, but I think he is asking whether or not the war has started against Iran. Which no, which no, it hasn't.
No.
The war has not started. The attack on the ships happened 2 weeks ago. And then last week, a drone, an American drone, was shot down, and then an attack was ordered on Iran. But then at the last minute, Trump decided to pull back his order of attack and not attack them because he said it wouldn't be proportionate. And little Ben Shapiro got all angry.
He's going to stay angry too. I don't think Trump. One thing I guess I'll say appreciate about Trump, he doesn't seem to want to start new wars. He doesn't seem to have any problem continuing the existing ones or letting the Saudis bomb the hell out of Yemen or a few other things. But he is a lot more averse to war than, for example, Hillary would have been, or Obama was, or Bush was, or Clinton was, or Bush was, or Reagan was, or he's probably similar to Carter in terms of his aversion to war. He's not completely against it, but he's not just trying to just use it as a regular foreign policy tool. And I'm glad for that, because I don't think he's going to end all the wars or anything like that, but I'm just happy that we haven't started any new ones recently.
No new wars.
No new wars. It's sad that's our
that's the rallying cry.
That's the rallying cry of no new wars. We're just gonna continue the old garbage wars, but no new ones.
No new wars.
Yeah, no new wars. So I'm glad about that. I don't think he wants a war with Iran. I don't think he's that concerned with Iran getting nukes. I think that he got this dropped in his lap. I'm completely speculating here. I think he got it.
I don't think so, because even beforehand, when Obama did the initial treaty with Iran, he was like, "No, this is bad. Iran will get nukes. You can trust me on that."
Right, so that's what I'm saying. How much of that was just he had to be against what Obama was doing, and now he's in position that's like, okay, well, I can't just do what Obama would have done. Again, this is my little personal theory that I don't think he gives a crap about Iran having nukes. I think he had to bash Obama for coming up with the Iran deal, and so now he has to like look like a war hawk. Again, this could be his biggest pet project, second to immigration. I don't know, but I'm glad that he's not bombing Iran. That makes me happy. I don't think we're going to end up in war with Iran. I don't think so. And I think if we did, we're going to end up regretting it, because Iran is not Iraq.
No. Jacob LaBelle says nuclear proliferation only works in a statist model. I'm thinking.
To the extent that there's this much risk of something happening in the first place, yeah. Jacob, I mean, obviously we don't know, and we're just speculating, but my belief is that arms are arms. Whatever arm you have, whatever weapon you have, comes with it the power and the risk and responsibility that comes with that power. So if you have, for example, a grenade launcher and your neighbors know it, yes, they're probably going to give you a little bit more respect, but you're also going to be the guy with the grenade launcher. And people are going to treat you like the guy with a grenade launcher. And if in theory someone, first of all, the nukes aren't, you don't just get a nuke and you're like, I got a nuke. Like, the containment that they have to be in, the amount of upkeep that they have to have, because nukes don't just explode. What happens is if a nuke goes bad, it just doesn't work. And it's now this radioactive thing that doesn't work. The amount of money to procure a nuclear weapon, to do the upkeep of a nuclear weapon, to launch it far enough away where you don't die too. Like, it's not, everyone's not walking around with suitcase nukes. So it would truly be like, you would more than likely see a very small, you're not going to see that many people have nukes in a non-statist and a voluntary society to begin with, because you would much rather use that nuclear power for energy, for something that can actually make money. Cody Smock says that I'm describing his wet dream. I guess everyone having nukes. It's just the real model in a voluntary society is that people aren't going to be preoccupied with invading each other. They're going to be preoccupied with the fact that if they have uranium, they can, all the money they can generate from the power that it creates. So yeah, that's my thought on that. So
Jerry over on YouTube, I'm calling him Jerry now. I feel like we've talked enough. I can give him a nickname. And I know I can pronounce that. So Jerry over on YouTube says, this is where the media speaks of the extinction of Iran. So I don't know what media you're getting over there in Germany, man.
Yeah, that's some frightening stuff you're getting over there, man. I don't listen to that, because Iran's not going. Iran is.
Jerry, if you want your news, come to youtube.com/muddiedwatersmedia. We got 5 shows a week. We talk about this often.
And we are not as scary as German media, apparently, because holy hell, man.
Yeah, I was going to say, we are not as scary as German. We do it laughing most of the time.
Right.
This is like the most serious show we've had.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah. So, get your news from us. Don't get it from German media.
Yeah. Breaking news for our German listeners: Iran's not going to be exterminated or it made extinct. The Iranian Persian culture is one of the oldest ones in existence. It will be here for a very long time. The biggest war hawks that want to do all this stuff, I don't think they're going to get their way. And even if they did, what would end up happening is the U.S. military would take out the Ayatollahs. They'd be replaced with something worse. And 15 to 20 years later, the U.S. government would leave quietly and leave Iran to its own mess that the U.S. created. But they're not exterminating Iran or killing all the Iranians or anything like that, because it's not in anyone's. The people who want to push for war, it's not in their interest to do that. It's in their interest to create these unwinnable, perpetual wars that they can make money on contracting and getting reelected on endless war and everything else. So no, German media is very scary, apparently.
Yeah, apparently German media is very scary. Jerry, tell all of your friends
to watch Muddied Waters Media.
To watch Muddied Waters Media. You can find us on like every social media network out there, and you can easily follow us at muddiedwatersmedia.com.
Fret not, German people. We're here with the good news of no one being exterminated.
Right. So if you have any other questions, follow us on Facebook or Twitter and shoot us a DM.
Yeah, absolutely.
We will be happy to. It was fun.
No, we're back. We're back. Okay. Hey guys, so
looks like we're still on. The stream resumed. Yeah, we're live.
Yeah, we're live again. Okay, guys. So the debate is happening tomorrow night and Thursday night, and we're actually going to be hosting we're gonna have a special edition of Muddied Waters of Freedom on Thursday, where we will be. What's that?
Slash the writer's block.
A special episode of the writer's block of freedom. Americans, Bearded Truth, where we will be hosting we will be live streaming the 2020 Democratic debate, the main one on Thursday. That will be the one between Joe Biden and Andrew Yang and Bernie Sanders, and I don't know who else.
Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, Petey
Buttigieg, and so we'll be hosting that. But in the meantime, fret not, guys, because if you have any student debt, Bernie Sanders is going to obliterate it.
Yep, he's going to get rid of all student debt. All 1.7 trillion of the student debt is going to be gone.
Just
thanks to old Bernie, granddaddy Bernie. He's just going to pay it all off, but he's going to do it by taxing Wall Street, of course.
Why would you have to tax anyone if you're just erasing the debt?
Right. You could just erase
erase it.
That's really all you would need to do. But
he's also going to tax people, so that'll be fun.
Right.
But not to be outdone.
Real quick on the student debt thing. What happens to the people who paid off their student loans? Do they get reparations?
No, screw you. Screw you for paying off your loans.
Thank God I didn't. I understand. I signed up for a bad loan. I know that. I signed up for a bad loan. I got a degree, and now I'm paying off that degree. And I'm paying off that degree with, as we discussed earlier, money I get from ladling mud into cups.
Which you are eminently qualified to do with your degree.
Oh, yeah, exceptionally qualified. And other than that, I do it from the fine donations of you people at home, which you can donate on anchor.fm.
Anchor.fm/Muddy
Right. So yeah, after Bernie said he was going to rate, actually, Biden and Trump first came out and said they were going to cure cancer.
Yeah, not to be out. So I knew Biden had said this. Trump also is now claiming he's going to cure cancer.
Biden said it first.
Right.
And then Trump came out and said he was going to do it. Not to be outdone by the touchy uncle.
I mean, do they really need to wait until after re-election to cure cancer? It seems like they could just jump on that right now.
Right. What happens if they don't win? Are they, no, I'm holding this back.
Yep, no cancer cure for you guys. I specifically said you had to vote for me.
Right. You didn't vote for me, so no cancer curing for you people.
And then, not to be outdone by curing cancer and eliminating all student debt, Liz Warren has called for reparations for gay people.
So that one actually confuses the hell out of me.
Not for the descendants of slaves, for gay people.
For gay people. Yeah, I'm not really sure what the basis of that is. And now she's surging. I want everybody to know she is surging in the polls.
Gay reparations.
Gay reparations and universal child care. Those two things are just rocketing her up the middle of the pack of qualified candidates running for the Democratic primary.
Gay reparations.
Gay reparations.
So her theory behind this, or her reasoning behind this, is that prior to marriage being same-sex marriage being recognized across the entire country, that there were millions of gay, not married couples who were being systemically denied the tax breaks that come with being married, which are not really that big, but they are there somewhat. And they were being denied that because they weren't married. And so she's going to give them billions of dollars.
Yep.
So if you're black and you're thinking, hey, my ancestors were enslaved, that slavery was enforced for over 100 years by the U.S. government, and then, almost 100 years by the U.S., 407 years actually, by the U.S. government, and then for 100 years afterwards, we were systemically denied our rights and treated like second-class citizens, and even now we have disproportionately high levels of incarceration and poverty and all sorts of terrible things, that much of which can be traced back to our past and current treatment in the halls of power in government, especially at the federal level. Rest assured, fret no longer, guys. Liz Warren is going to be giving reparations to gay people.
Yep. Not to be outdone, though. Not to be outdone.
Oh, yes. By anyone, ever.
The famous Roberto O'Rourke. Roberto O'Rourke from Texas is now supporting a war tax, which would be paid for by non-military families, which would cover the cost of veterans' health care. So, all of these wars that you don't support,
yeah,
all of these wars that you're like, no, I don't want to go into this war that you're paying taxes for. All of the poor children that they are sending to these wars to die, to get injured, to come back with severe PTSD.
Right.
All of that, all of the stuff that they have to deal with when they come back is now falling on your shoulders too, because you didn't sign up to be one of these children. That is what he is supporting.
Putting aside the question of what is a non-military family? So my dad was in the military. Are we a military family? Like, did he specify what that even means? I assume not. Yeah.
Not anywhere that I saw it.
Yeah. He's Beto O'Rourke. He's too busy getting on. This is a pet peeve of mine. He gets on counters to be above everyone.
When he's already like 6'4".
When he's like 6'2", he's like the tallest guy in the right. And then he kneels down. He says, "I'm one of you people."
To get he stands up.
He stands up like on a table, like
eye
here.
to eye with you.
Yeah, and then he does this to get eye to eye. It's like, just stand there. Just get down and stand next to me like a human being. And he constantly gets up on his truck, on the hood of his truck, and he kneels down. "I'm one of you guys. I'm down here with you guys." Get the hell down from the truck. Anyway, so he's going to tax us for not being a part of the perpetual war machine in order to deal with the casualties and side effects of the perpetual war machine. I think this is... I would imagine maybe his reasoning, or the reasoning of people that support this, is that if you do this, that people will be far less likely to support war. Maybe. I don't know, but here's the thing. I don't know. But first of all, isn't there something in the taxation in the taxation clause of the Constitution that says that you can't tax people unevenly? That has to be uniform throughout the states or something like that?
It could be. It's been a while since I've gone through that.
I mean, they'll ignore it, but I just want to know what even... Okay, great. I'm a military family. My dad was in the military, so...
Yeah, so was mine.
I guess we're not getting taxed.
Yeah. How far back we going?
Sucks to be you. That's what I'm saying. Like, there are very few... You know who you're going to be taxing is immigrants. You're going to be... If you really go like 2 or 3 generations back or forward, you're largely going to be taxing immigrants. That's a great plan, Beto.
Roberto O'Rourke.
Great job, Beto. Happy Gay Pride Month. And not to be outdone, because this is a not to be outdone episode. Not to be outdone by any of these schmucks. Andrew Yang is just straight up, I want to just hand you money.
Yep. Yeah, he tweeted out, "I will give $1,000 a month for the next 12 months free." I'm certain that the IRS would have an issue with that.
Yeah.
To someone who retweets this and follows me by July 4th. Let's show why money is the answer and why this is the campaign for people. No purchase necessary. U.S. citizens only. He is literally buying votes, which I'm pretty certain is illegal.
That can't... There's no way the way that federal election... Like, when you hear people go into jail for violating the most obscure federal election laws that they didn't even know they were violating, this There is no way that that's legal. Now, is it substantively different than saying, hey, if you vote for me, I'm going to give you a bunch of free stuff? No.
Basically the same.
It's essentially the same thing. But he's putting the cart before the horse and saying, hey, if you even just follow me and retweet this, I'll give you $1,000 a month for. You don't even have to elect me. That's brazen.
Yeah. He's going to give you $12,000 just for liking him and sharing that tweet.
Which is tempting. I don't have a Twitter.
The only thing that's upsetting about that is our page already liked him.
Well, it wasn't me.
Well, no.
No. It says retweet this and follow me.
Right. Yeah, we already followed him. We followed him a while ago just so I could see his tweets.
But you didn't pay off your student debts, so
right.
You could still win here.
And 12,000 isn't even going to cover a portion of that.
There you go.
Andrew Yang is really trying to buy votes, literally buying votes.
Literally saying, I will just straight up give you money if you support me.
And as opposed to everybody else who's like, look at this, look at what I can give you. Mayor Pete took a different route.
He's taking a different tact.
Yeah, he took a different tact. In South Bend, Indiana, where he is from, where I believe he is the mayor of.
He's the mayor.
Yep. He was confronted by a Black Lives Matter protest over the fact that a African-American male was shot by a white cop. And
it gets better.
It gets better. I almost wish I got this video too, because it's just so good, but you couldn't understand a lot of what they were saying.
Right.
So Buttigieg, Petey told the crowd that he did not have evidence that there has been discipline for racist behavior. And one of the protesters responded, "You run in for president and you expect black people to vote for you." And this is where Petey made his mistake. This is where he kind of went wrong. Like, anytime that you're dealing with any sort of racial issue between the cops and, the citizenry, you got to tread carefully just going forward. And he kind of messed up with not having evidence that there has been discipline for racist behavior, because why wouldn't you know that by now? But after she says, "You run for president and you expect black people to vote for you," Buttigieg told her, "I'm not asking for your vote." That's just that. When you're running for president,
you are asking everyone for your vote.
I don't remember how many people remember Mitt Romney in 2012, where I don't remember exactly what was said, but in a private event.
Yeah.
He said, "I am not trying to get the votes of 58% of the people out there, because they're not going to vote for me anyway." And
yeah, he said like 47% just wouldn't vote for him or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, right.
He was just destroyed in the media for saying that.
Yeah.
Just crushed in the media for saying that. A lot of people said that was a big reason that he didn't do as well as was initially expected.
Right.
And this could be spun as though Buttigieg just said, "I'm not asking for the black vote."
Yeah. It kind of sounds like,
"Don't worry, I'm going to get you reparations. I'm going to pay off those student loans. I'm going to get you possibly 2 different kinds of reparations. I'm going to cure cancer. Your sickle cell anemia, gone. Don't worry.
Gone. Sickle cell, gone.
Fixed. That type 2 diabetes, gone. Don't worry about any of it. got all of that. No, he said, I am not asking for your vote.
Which, even if he wanted to be more, less pandery, he could say, we're waiting to get all the facts in, and I assure you that I'm going to, this is the top of my priority list, blah, blah, whatever. I don't want your vote, black woman.
Not saying, he didn't say I don't want it. I'm not asking for it.
I'm not asking for your vote, black woman who is angry because a black person was shot in my city.
By a white guy.
By a white guy. The media is going to cover him a lot on this because he's gay and he's a Democrat, and he's also a warmonger, guys. He likes to brag about how he was killing people in the military. So that'll be fun. We're making the full transition of saying gays can be warmongers too, and on Gay Pride Month, of course, and because there's nothing says gay pride like murdering brown people and then getting reparations.
No, gay people can do anything that straight people can do,
including murder brown people.
Murder brown people,
like lots of them. So that's good. So that happened, and then, hey, big news on the race front. Former Pennsylvania Rep Joe C-Stack has joined the race, and no one cares.
Yeah, this is a new segment that I've come up with. It's the Shane Sweeney segment of things that are never going to happen. Joe C-Stack will not be president. He definitely is not. Odds are he is just planning a Senate run and wants to get some notoriety back. So he's like, I'm going to run for president so people hear my name a bunch here in Pennsylvania, and then I'm going to run for Senate instead after I get absolutely demolished in, well, he can't even be in these debates because he didn't sign up or live. I think they have 25 people running. 25. Their debates are 2 nights, 10 people on each stage. So 5 people are already out, of which Joe C-Stack is one of them. And then there's 4 others. Things are heating up like a dumpster fire in the Democratic Party because this is a literal dumpster fire that they are going through.
It's pretty
bad. When the Republicans had, what was it? The Republicans had 18 people in 2016.
Yeah, and that was a total mess. That was an absolute mess of. It's part of why Donald Trump did as well as he did, because what little support was outside, what little I don't want Donald Trump vote there was split up among like a dozen people.
Right.
So, yeah. He's never going to be president. And, but guys, be sure to tune in to watch a bunch of people on Thursday night. Be sure to tune in and watch a bunch of people who are probably never going to be president. Maybe one of them might be.
Right.
Maybe.
At least 90% of the people on the stage on Thursday will
never be president.
Will never be president.
And we will be here to make fun of that, basically.
We will make fun of everything they are saying, everything they are doing. And if I just forgot the guy that's running against Trump's name. Weld.
Biden? Bill Weld.
Bill. If Bill Weld and Trump ever get to debate status, we will do the same. And we will enjoy it.
Oh, that will be very enjoyable.
That will be very enjoyable.
For many, many, many reasons. Watching Bill Weld and Donald Trump debate will be it, because it will also mean that I have fallen asleep and am hallucinating an incredibly fanciful fever dream. That'll be another. Exactly. Yeah, like I was on my lack of oxygen and really enjoying myself. So be sure to tune in for that. And that's it. That's what we got for this show. This was a much more serious show than we usually have.
Yeah. Real quick, Jerry responded.
Oh.
And he said, escalation of the conflict. Trump threatens Iran with extinction, insults, threats, and what then? U.S. President Donald Trump and his Iranian colleague Hassan Rouhani tighten their escalation rhetoric. Both speak of war if the other begins. A small excerpt of our media. Okay, so I think that was just like a headline that posted. And war is business. It's always about money and power. Yes, you are.
Yeah,
you are
absolutely. Yeah,
you're correct on that. And yes, both of them are talking about war. Yes, there is tension. Yes, the tension is escalating. But much like with North Korea and the U.S., what was that? 2 years ago? Last year?
Last year. Yeah.
Last year. This is, I think that's what's happening here. They are working their way towards some sort of new treaty, but this is how they are getting there. This is what is happening. I don't believe that this is going to escalate to the point of war. I didn't believe it in North Korea. We have well-documented history on that. And I don't believe that's what's going to happen here. The moment that Trump turned that drone around, or not that drone, sorry, after Trump didn't attack after the drone was fired down, that was the moment that I knew he wasn't going to war. He is attempting to do that 4D underwater upside down backgammon.
Yeah.
So I don't believe that's what's happening. Yes, everybody's preaching war, and real quick, the reason that they do this, the reason that they preach war, the reason that they sit there and they go, yeah, this is what's happening, they're going to war and Iran is going to go into extinction, is because when they play on these fears, when they hit you on these fears, what happens is you end up being afraid. You end up getting scared about the possibility of this escalating into possibly World War III or nuclear war or whatever.
Right.
And it terrifies you. This is the same thing that Hollywood does in fantastic movies that are horror movies, and why horror movies do so incredibly well at the box office. It's because these fears release serotonin and dopamine into your brains, and essentially they become like a drug, and you end up going back to watch the movies over and over and over again because it makes you feel high.
Right.
News reports have now started doing this, and they are preaching this stuff to you. They're preaching about war. They're preaching about extinction. They're preaching about all of this stuff to you because they know that you will continue to come back and read their articles. You'll come back and watch their news programs. You'll come back because even though you don't even realize it's happening, the fear that they are inducing in you is giving you a mild high, and they are the drug that you are now addicted to.
Right.
So get your Suboxone by watching us, because we don't preach that stuff. We can get you off of mainstream media. Watch us instead.
Yeah, watch us instead. We'll entertain you and not scare you to death. And we'll repeatedly let you know that rape is bad.
Right.
Which I assume German media would tell you the same, but probably not as often as we will. Honestly, I think they're dropping the ball there. So yeah. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. So tomorrow.
Who you got tomorrow?
Yeah, so tomorrow I have...
God, I wish I had a mute button for you right now.
Remzo Martinez. And what is sure to be a whelming episode of My Fellow Americans. I'm having Remzo Martinez.
I may take that one out of the upload playlist so it doesn't even show up on my when I'm watching at work.
Just as well. Just as well.
Just as well.
We'll see how that goes. I hear he's
Remzo from the Remzo Martinez experience.
He's apparently some kind of...
Not the most narcissistic name ever for a podcast.
What, the My Name Here experience?
Yes.
So my understanding is he's a type of Mexican or something, and I feel like with everything going on in the concentration camps, maybe he'll have something to say about that. I really don't know. He seemed like he wanted to be on, so I'm going to have him on. We'll see how that goes. So that's happening that day. And then Thursday, again, we are doing the very special episode of My Fellow Writers Block of Freedom. where we will be showing the airing the debate live and reacting to it as it happens, which should be fun. And then on
You get to watch the boring Democratic debate. Actually, it might not be boring. That could be fireworks.
that could be it could be one of the it could go either way.
Yeah, that's like walking it. Man, I wish I could come up with a good reference here. That's like walking into a summer blockbuster movie where it's like, this could be great or this could suck.
It could be terrible.
So we don't know what's going to happen, but what we do know is we are going to be watching it and mystery science theatering the crap out of it.
I will be Tom Zervo and Matt will be Crow. And I hope someone got that reference. And so then that's happening. Then on Friday will be the Shabbat episode of Mr. America, The Bearded Truth with the Ben Shapiro of Muddy Waters Media, Mr. Jason Lyon. Then have a great weekend. And then on Monday, we'll have Jason Lyon again with Mr. America, The Bearded Truth. And then next week on Tuesday, right back here, The Muddy Waters of Freedom with Matt Wright and Spike Owen, where we parse through the week's news in a much less scary way than German media does.
That's right. For our very special July 4th week episode.
Oh yeah, and that'll also be the year anniversary of a certain Spike Cohen being a part of Muddy Waters Media.
It will be. I believe yours was July 4th, right?
It was the July 4th episode where we bashed everything about America.
Yep, that's right. I have the July 4th episode this year, and I'm not doing one.
On a very special episode of My Fellow Americans.
That was only because the person that I had said, "Oh, that's July 4th. I can't do it that day." So I was just like, I'm not even going to bother.
Everyone's busy anyway. So have a great week, and we will see you tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. And Matt,
for our new German listeners and followers and watchers, thank you.
Guten Tag.
Guten Tag. Danke. Danke.
Danke schön.
Dankeschön for our new German viewers. Yes, if somebody wants to follow us on the old internet, which is the only place you can follow
Which would be the place to follow us.
Right, that's the best place to follow us. You can follow us at muddiedwatersmedia.com. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/muddiedwatersmedia. You can follow us on YouTube at youtube.com/muddiedwatersmedia. You can follow us on Twitter at muddied_waters, and you can follow us on Instagram. Crap, did I change Instagram? Hang on 1 second. Instagram, you guys, if you don't have an Instagram, you should get one because they're kind of cool. You can follow
really
us on
great.
You can follow us on Instagram at Muddied Waters Media, and you can find all of the audio on anchor.fm/muddied waters. So sign up, log into all of them, follow us everywhere.
Give us good reviews everywhere. Listen to us everywhere. Share us everywhere, especially if you're German. I want a huge German audience to hear what we have to say. We need a Muddied Waters foothold in Germany. And guys, thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow night. And where we're going,
we don't need roads.
Mic check, yo. We still here? Still going strong, yeah? Are you down with Zuby? Yeah. I will not go pop, I will not go soft. When I say no means no. This is true hip hop, I do not flip flop. When I say flow mean flow. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. I will not go pop, I will not go soft. When I say no means no. This is true hip hop, I do not flip flop. When I say flow mean flow. This is perseverance. 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 I've been on the rhyme since I made a first appearance. I've been on the grind, never waited for the clearance. Life is all the time, so I'm gonna live it fearless. Yeah, and people gonna hear this. Made a little name with a vision and coherence. Never been a lame, now I'm closer to a genius. Knowledge in my brain, chalk it up to the experience. Still I'm not rich, but at least I ain't broke. Never sell dreams, cause I better sell hope. People People so lost in the mirrors and the smoke think I'd be a realer bloke if I said I sold dope. Nope. But my fans will tell you that I'm awesome. I started selling and they bought them. I told them get them and I got them. So if you want dope bars, that's not a problem. It's time to put the needles on the wax. Rock hard like I got the Beatles in the back. Go soft, make it easy living off the map, or I can go hard like a freaking cheetah on the track. I'm grinding from a zero to a stack, and I'm talking about De Niro getting jacked. If Wakanda needs a new king, I'ma go hard to be the leader of the pack. A needle in a stack, and I'm feeling to attack. Not a baller, no T'Challa, but a hero and I'm black. I'm an eagle to a rat, rebel demon on a track. I'm a scholar and a brawler, you don't feel it if you're whack. You're always talking evil in your rap, and I'm trying to put my meanings on the map. I gave you 12 rules for life and kept my room clean. I'm the Jordan Peterson of rap. Yeah. I will not go pop, I will not go soft. When I say no means no. This is true hip-hop, I do not flip-flop. When I say flow, mean flow. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. I will not go pop, I will not go soft. When I say no means no. This is true hip-hop, I do not flip-flop. When I say flow, mean flow. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. And I believe what I prophesize, so I don't apologize. Unless I do wrong, I don't bow to the mob, I don't live to antagonize. But they say I'm too outspoken. They wonder if I'm joking. Look, a little bit is jest, but I say what I feel, man, I'm real and I'm open. Trust in God, but I live in the physical. Selfish thoughts, but I give in the lyrical. Thought cops hot, want my speech to be criminal. Lies get fought when I speak the political. I am not left wing, I am not right wing. I just know all these things I know. You cannot label me, you can't put shame on me. When I say go means go. Fresh, I step into the premises, kick dope rhymes and they love how I'm expressing it. Hop online and reply to all the messages. Gotta spend time and I'm grateful that you cherish it. Don't talk crap, no, I'd rather be irrelevant. Can't play dumb, people know that I'm intelligent. See me up late night, big beard, let 'em in. 12 years deep now, I'm flowing like a veteran. Dudes show love, now I'm moving up in eminence. Girls show love cause they're feeling all the pleasantness. Got huge dreams, I can never be a pessimist. Too much love, I can never be a feminist. Girl, stop looking all incredulous. I am not a bad man, I am not your nemesis. Always had a mega drive, take it back to Genesis. Worked so hard, time to reap a couple benefits. Yeah, I will not go pop, I will not go soft. When I say no means no. This is true hip-hop, I do not flip-flop. When I say flow, mean flow. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. I will not go pop, I will not go soft. When I say no means no. This is true hip-hop, I do not flip-flop. When I say flow, mean flow. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance. This is perseverance.